Hello, welcome back to the Games Kingdom. My name's Carl King and today we're going to be doing a playthrough of the solo mode of a game coming to Kickstarter early in March 2022 called Antares Kingdoms. As you can see, it's basically a card game and you play through 3 decades of the land, and each year you turn over a card. There is an event on these cards, and the events will obviously have an effect during the game. But basically what you're trying to do, you're trying to build up sets of cards, so it's a bit like a deck builder, and you put those into your kingdom each turn, and at the end of each decade you will get achievements for the different sets of cards and things that you have built within your kingdom, and then you will move up on your board depending on which sets you've built. And as you move up and build these sets, it will reveal other things that will sort of influence how you sort of play the rest of the game. It will make things and actions cheaper. So some of the building things will be cheaper, because what you do is you have a hand of cards and there is a value on each of these cards from 0 to 3. And basically that's the length of time in years it will take them to go into your kingdom, unless you pay gold to move them down or expedite them. And what you can do there, there's certain actions that are sort of not free, so they cost you 1 action to do, and you're allowed 2 main actions per turn per year. So each of these cards represents a year, and then you can also do as many free actions as you're able to, either by playing cards or by being able to sort of pay for things to move down. So if you have a card that's currently in year 3 and you wanted to move that down quicker, you could pay a gold and it would move down 1 step. If it was on number 1, you could pay a gold and it would go straight into your kingdom, and that would be part of that decade's potential growth on your board. And there are also harvests throughout the year, and sometimes they will come up on these cards, and also there will be warfares that you have to battle against invaders. So again, you have to make a choice. Everybody starts in the game as a peasant, and you can rise through the ranks of nobility to become either a king or a queen. Each turn you have to choose whether you're going to have the income stance or the warfare stroke defense stance, and that will determine whether or not, before you turn over the year card, just in case there is a warfare, that will give you +1 on the defense against any attacks, and this will give you extra income based on the number on the card. So as I say, everybody starts as a peasant. The AI starts as an esquire in the game, and there are 12 different faction stroke houses that you can play. I'm currently going to play this turn, or this game, as House Brenhelm, and your normal maximum hand size is 5, but this increases it by 2 to 7. Now you only ever get 1 hand dealt to you for the whole game, and you build up your cards by taking actions or getting them via free actions such as this. I was dealt this card. I've already dealt my hand of cards for the game, and basically I can play that as a free action and I will gain an additional 2 cards. But you don't get dealt a new hand of cards every year or every decade, so you have to sort of manage your hand and build that up as you go along. On turn 5 we reveal this card. That will give us certain things, and at the end of decade this card is revealed, and that will also do certain things, but they're the same for each game, but there are different things for different decades on there. So as you get through to sort of decades 2 and 3, some of these things on the cards will be slightly different, so they will tell you to do or gain different things. So what we'll do, we'll just quickly tell you what the steps are. So you do a progress. So if you were in year 2, and you had cards on here, all of those cards would move down one step from your board, and then if any were in one, they would go into your kingdom and start building up sets of cards. And the sets of cards are basically shown on the back of one of the rule books. So you need 4 grain fields, 3 towns, 2 quarries, and a single gem mine, and they are endeavour sets. And then they're all classed as achievement sets, but you can also get achievements for things like 2 swordsmen and a fortification, a gem mine and a town, and 2 peasants and a town as well. So they will then move your tokens up these tracks, and then you also get this income as part of the game as well if you've moved up these tracks during the end of decades. They only move at the end of each decade. So, and then each one of these tracks, whoever is highest on each of these tracks at the end of the game gets 3 points, and the second place gets 2, and it's the one with the most victory points at the end will be declared the winner. So, as I say, there are 7 steps to each turn. On the first turn you don't do the progress because you haven't got any cards laid down, but you do your 2 main actions, and if you were playing against other human players, you can all do these actions at the same time. There's no sort of player interaction between sort of playing cards on other people and things like that, so you can all do these actions at the same time. So you do your 2 actions, you choose your stance, which I mentioned earlier, you reveal the year event, and then you play out or follow the unique year event, and it will tell you what that is on each card. Now there are 12 possible cards, but you only ever use 9 in each decade, so each time you play, the sort of possibilities are quite endless in the different possibilities of 9 cards out of those 12. There is one under the Kingdom Wealth, but you reveal that, do that first, and then play the year event. Then you do any harvesting from your cards and things on the table, and then you flip over your rank card to turn back to step 1. So you turn this back from that to that, and that also tells you on your card that you're allowed to sort of do the progress, 2 actions, choose a stance, and then reveal the year event. So it's your own sort of class card, for want of a better word, will tell you what you are doing throughout the turn as well, but there is obviously a run through in the book. So what we'll do, we'll sort of crack on. The AI only ever comes in at the end of each decade. At the end of the first decade, we will give them some Dominion cards. We will turn over 5 of these, and these will move up on these tracks depending on what the top one of the wording says. So if we turned over that one, they would move up 1 on the military. That one, they would move up 1 on special. They get 5 at the end of the first decade, 6 at the end of the second, and 7 at the end of decade 3. So they will have had 18 of those cards. Obviously some of those might double up, so they might get sort of up to here on the common goods and up to here on there. So, and then obviously it depends on whether they or you are higher on the track. You will then divvy out the points and see whether or not the AI has beaten you. So they won't play any cards, and they don't get any kingdoms or any sets in their kingdoms. They are just using the Dominion cards flipped over, and they will move up at the end of each decade. So you never know what's going to come out for them. So you are moving up on these tracks, and potentially they could sort of whiz straight down to the end. And if they get to the end, obviously, and you don't, then they're guaranteed the 3 points. If it's a tie, then obviously you both get the points. So let's kick off and see what we do. So I've got a card here that if you build an endeavour, that is an action. As I say, you get 2 possible actions per turn as a norm. But this one, if I play this as an action card, I then get to build 2 endeavours instead of 1, and that only still classes as 1 action. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to build 2 peasants straight into my kingdom because they are level 0, and then I'm going to put the town at number 2. So that's my 2 actions done. What I can do now is expedite this by paying 2 if I wanted straight away, so we'll do that just for sake of argument. So it goes down 1 for the first coin and comes into the kingdom for the second coin being played. So then now that there is 2 peasants and a town. The peasants also give you a defence value if any warfare comes out. I'm going to choose the stance where I get the money and just hope that it doesn't come out with a warfare card. So we've done that, so now we reveal the year event. So it's a harvest, so it says harvest all grain, field and town sets. Well, we haven't got any town sets, so we can't really sort of do that, because you get these cards, some of these cards are double-ended, so you can either have peasants or grain fields. I've chosen them as peasants for this particular thing. And then a standard harvest as well, so this is classed as a bountiful year, and then I get to flip my card back because that is the end of turn. So I don't get any gold because I haven't got any generating sets. These things here, when they harvest, they will give you gold. So we haven't got, well actually we did have one of those, so I will take one, but that's it. And then the AI does nothing, so now we go back to again turn or year 2. So I've got a card here that is a free action, and that will gain me 2 cards. So I can play that as a free action at the beginning of my turn and gain 2 new cards, which are both quarries or fortifications. So I get to play now 2 main actions, or so I can play 2 of those cards into my kingdom. I could draw 2 more endeavour cards if I wish, and we'll just have a look on here. So for quarries you need 2. So I think what I'll do on this, for this turn, I will put both of those into level 3, because it says it is a level 3 card, so it has to go to the top of the board. So that's my 2 main actions. I've done all the free actions potentially that I wanted to do, although I could move these down if I wanted now. And I think what I'll do, I'll pay to move 1 down to here. Actually we'll pay for 2, so they'll both come down by 1. So now we go to year 2. Again, there is a harvest, so I'm going to go back to that, which means I get another one for that. And actually I should have got one last turn for it, so I'll put one there because I chose that stance. And then there is gain 1 gold for every conquesting army, but we don't have any of those. So that's literally, it's quite a quick moving game, as you can see. So that's the end of year 2. We flip the card back and we start again. So at the beginning both of those come down by 1, and if I wanted, which I think I will do, I can pay 2 gold to the bank and they will go into my kingdom. So you can see that sometimes you can build these cards up at quite a pace, and that now is a set. So the next time a harvest comes out, that will give me an additional gold coin, because that is a set of 2 quarries. So what we've got is still 2 actions. We're running low on cards, so I think I'll draw 2 cards. So we've got either, again, another quarry or fortification, and another peasant. So I think what we can do is, we've done our 2 actions there. I don't want to pay anything to put them straight in here, because an action also is that's 1 action, and then I could put one of those into my kingdom as a free action. So that's my 2. You get 2 cards for 1 action, and then one action is to build an endeavour, and because that is a rank 0 card, it goes straight into your kingdom. So that's the 2 actions. I choose my stance. Again, I'm going to risk it and take the income. So we then reveal the 3rd year event. If this is a progress, so basically if we had any grain fields in here, it would progress down 1 freely. And it says harvest all grain field sets. Haven't got any grain field sets, but I have got those in there, so that gives me 2 and an extra 1 for the stance. So now up to 5 gold pieces again. So that's the end really of year 3. So we go back to the start again. So what I'm going to do is, again, the cards are not very helpful at the minute, so I'll take another 2. Again, not very good. 2 more peasants, so that's 1 main action. And I think what I'll do is I will do that for the 2nd main action. So that now gives me currently a defence of 4. This turn I'm going to choose the defence stance, so if we get a warfare card, my defence will be 5, and then we'll see what the attack strength is, and then we'll run through what we do with that. So we flip this over. You can sell from your hand any of those cards, which I don't think we do have one actually, which we could get rid of. So I'm going to sell one of these cards. You can see that the symbol here is the same as the symbol on the market, and if you sell one of those cards, basically you gain an extra 3 gold. So that's what I'm going to do, just to give me some extra cash. We harvest, so we get again, and then we flip the rank back. So we go back to here, and again we can start the turn over again. So I think what we'll do again this turn is, we've got on the peasants, we haven't got, so I'm going to put 1 into here again, and that's 1 action, and again take 2 new cards. So now we've got, again we can use this straight away, it's a free action, so that gains me another 2 cards. So this is obviously how you start to build your hand back up. We seem to have got a lot of peasants, so that's my 2 actions. I've played 1 into here and taken the 2 cards, which gave me another free action to give me another 2 cards. So I can't do any more main actions. I've got no free actions to do. We've got a bit of cash here building up. So again, what we do now is, after that we choose our stance. So again, I'm going to go defensive, but at the minute we've got 2, 4, 5. So let's see what this is, but as it's year 5, we do this first. And as I was telling you earlier, so we've got a first decade, all players gain 2 endeavour cards, and because my hand limit is 7, I can have those. So that's the first swordsman that we've seen out in the game, and more peasant stroke grain fields. I think I'll have to try to build some grain fields. Trade masters, if you were the trade master rank, you can draw an opportunity or gain an opportunity. You draw 2 and choose 1, and if you were House Lorien, you would gain 3 extra gold. So we'll put that over here, because that comes back on top of year 5 again for subsequent decades. We'll turn that over. We can sell a card if we have one from our hand. I'm not sure if we do. No, we don't have any of those cards in our hand, so we don't get to sell any of those. we harvest, so again we've got 2. And we flip the rank back again after we've chosen that stance, and then a free action marketplace. This decade only buy towns from the discard pile, but there aren't any towns in there, so you can't buy them, but you could have bought a town for 3 gold if it was in there. So now we're on to year 6 of the first decade, so we'll reveal that in a minute. So I get my 2 actions. I think I'm going to start building some grain fields, so I'm going to put them into here, 1, 2, but then I'm going to pay 2 straight away and then expedite those straight into here. So now we've got 2 grain fields sitting in our kingdom. So you've got these little sort of sets and endeavour sets sort of building up on in your kingdom, but once you get to the end of the decade, all of these will go and they will all be discarded, and you have to start again each decade. So you don't get to keep these, they all go back into the sort of discard pile. So that's my 2 actions which I've done. I've expedited. I don't really I've got some free gold here. I've got 5 cards. You can buy endeavour cards, and that's a free action. So I think what I'll do, I will use 2 gold and build and buy 2 more. So we've got some more swordsmen coming out here, which is quite handy. They go in, if they go in there, they are sort of defense 2 rather than defense 1. And also you can use the 2 swordsmen and a fortification, and that becomes a military point at the end of the decade if you've got those in your kingdom. So it might be an idea to start thinking about putting those in. But that's the that's a free action, which was buying a couple. Now I'm going to place both of those in the 2 section, so that's my 2 actions for this turn. Now I could move those down 1, which I think I will, because they'll go into my kingdom at the start of the next round. They'll go straight in, so that will be quite handy for building up not only some defence, but also building up the possibility of moving up on the military track as well at the end of the decade. So we've done that, we can choose our stance, which I think will, what have we got here now? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got 5 defence, and I think what we'll do is go with defence again on an extra one, so that's 6. Right, so this card is Gambit's Curse. It says you must discard 1 card from your hand, but if you had foreseen this year event, you gain 2 cards and a full harvest instead. So I'm going to get rid of 1 card. I'm going to get rid of a peasant card, as I've still got 2 more left. It says you can harvest 1 set, so just get 1 coin and then flip the card back. So again, we go back round, we've started, those 2 swordsmen come into my sort of kingdom area, and again I think a free action. First off, let's buy a couple of cards. So again we've got another swordsman and another quarry. Now I need to get, really with those swordsmen, I need to get a fortification. So I'm going to put that up here in the number 3, but then I'm going to pay 2 to move that down to there. And I've got 1 more action left, and I think what we'll do is have another grain field, and again we'll pay 1 and we'll put that down 1 as well. So to get a full harvest of grain fields you need 4 of those, So that's my two main actions. I don't really want to do any more other actions. I could swap some cards, they're free. You can discard 2 cards in hand and gain 1 new one, but I don't want to do that currently. So we'll choose a stance and we'll go, now we've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will go with income. So we've got skirmish, half power, rounded up. So basically we'll have a look at this. So we've got the warfare stage. You choose your stars. You've got there your casualties. So we've got these player powers. You calculate your player power for a total of 8. This is an example. 2 from the swordsman, 3 from the fortification, 1 from defence. His total damage received is 3. So he must pay this off before proceeding, so he decides to lose 2 gold coins. So it sort of gives you examples in the book. So when the warfare card comes out, which that is, it says each player will engage in combat. So you take casualties and then you battle. All players must discard 1 endeavour card from their kingdom. Right, okay, so we'll get rid of that peasant. This does not include a player's card in hand, build, queue, or opportunities. If a player has nothing in the kingdom, they discard nothing for first casualties. If a player was in defence stance, which I wasn't, they are immune to first casualties and do not discard the card. But I chose the income. So all players suffer battle damage equal to opposing power minus player power. So you calculate the power by the round that you're on. So it says here, so this is round 7, so it says rounding up, so it's 4. So I've currently got 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'm okay, because if you're not, then you start to lose stuff. But because that's only 4 and I'm on 8, if a player has equal or greater power than the opposing player, no damage is taken and the calculation ends. If you have lower, then you suffer damage for each point of difference. So for each point of damage received, you either you lose an endeavour in the kingdom is exhausted, the treasury 1 gold coin is lost, you lose 1 card from your hand, or you lose 1 endeavour in your build queue, so from here, and it's discarded. But as I said, I had 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 against 4. Now we've finished that, so we go on to harvest. So we've got 1, 2 again, because nothing else is full, and then we flip back. So we start year 8, so both of these will come into here. So now we've also got that as a full set as well, 2 swordsmen and a fortification. So as you can see, as I said earlier, these things build up quite rapidly, but at the end of each decade they will all go. You have to start again, but you still don't build up your cards. So each year you're starting from a slightly potentially weaker place, but you can build up because you've got 10 years to sort of manipulate what you're doing. So again, we're back to the sort of first part of the actions. So we'll just flip back through. So we've got nothing to progress because we've just done that, and we've got 2 actions which we can move. So I'm going to start with putting a gem mine up here, and I think I'll move that down by 2 by paying some gold. And we'll also do a grain field. We'll put that in there, we'll pay the 1, and that will immediately go in there. And now, because there are 4 grain fields, that is now a set. So again, that will harvest, but that will also push us up at the end of the decade on the common goods track. So those are my 2 main actions and some free actions. I could buy some endeavour cards. So yeah, I'm going to buy I'm going to use that and buy one endeavour card, which is a town, which might come in handy. So currently we have a swordsman, a town, well, a swordsman or conquesting armies, a town, and either a quarry or a fortification. So that's those. We'll choose a stance. We'll go with income. We should have got one last turn, because it was, you chose the income stance, you always get the income. You reveal the year event, so we're on year 8. So income stance gains an extra 2, so 2, 3 in total. Then we harvest, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we flip the card back. So again, we've got no fighting this turn, so it's quite a good choice to do that. Now we're on to year 9. This comes straight in, and the gem mine can either go on its own or go with a town. So what we'll do, we'll leave that there, and I've got 2 actions. This will come in. We'll put that in for 1. We'll pay 2, 1 and 2, and that will go straight into the kingdom. So that again is another set for achievements, and that's on the wealth track. So I've got 1 action left, and I think I'll pay 1 and get a new card. That's a free action, and again, let's go for another gem mine. We'll put that up there, but we'll pay 2 to move it down to here. Again, now we're back to choosing a stance. We'll go with income, and we'll then move from the stance to revealing year 9. So that's warfare. Nobles get +1, and gem mines, +2. So we do have a gem mine. So basically what we've got here, this is round 9, so that means +2 is 11, and I've currently got 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm just safe. So we've got a fortification and 2 swordsmen, which gives you a total of 7. 2 peasants here, 2 peasants here, 11 against 11, so we're okay. It's a limited harvest of only those sets, which we've got 1, and I get 1 for my stance, and that's all we have. So now we're going into year 10 of the first decade. So we get the gem mine into here, and we get to do 2 more actions again. So again, this is basically the last throw of the dice. So, and there's no cards to reveal. So 3 actions. You can carry money over. So what I'm going to do is buy 3 cards and see if we get anything that we can use straight away. No, they're all peasants. But it'll give us a start for year or decade 2, I should say. So now we go to stance. So we've got income. So we flip this over. So we have harvest. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Progress, you got a free progress, but I didn't have anything in the queue. And then you tally your achievements and you begin a new decade. So tallying achievements works by seeing what sets you've got in your kingdom, and you move them up on your achievements track. So we've got one set of grains, so they come up here, and now from decade 2, building grain sets, you only need 3. So we'll check the others. So we've got 2 quarries, and that is a resources, so we move that up by 1. We've got a gem mine and a town, so that's on the wealth track, move that up by 1. So we'll do those. So we've got 2 peasants in a town, that goes up on special, and we've got 2 swordsmen and a fortification, which is military, and the gem mine you don't get anything, but it does give you income each turn as a sort of endeavour set. So that's what we've achieved. So we've got no townships because we didn't have any of those on the table, but we've managed to move up on 5 out of the 6. So now we choose 5 cards, and what we do here, we flip these over, and the top thing is what they move up. So they move up on common goods, on special, on military, on wealth, and township. So they've moved up 5. As I say, you could get some of these that are different, or sorry, they could be sort of 2 or 3 of those that would be the same, and they would move up 1 each card, but they've gone up 5 individual tracks, but one is slightly different to mine. They've gone up on the township, whereas I've gone up on resources and they haven't. So they are their cards, and they sit there, but they don't do anything for the rest of that game. That's just the end of the first decade. So that's how you play Antares Kingdoms. That's the first decade complete, and basically what you do here is you've got some more cards, and each set of these have got numbers on, and you can see in the corner here that underneath the number they have a number 2, so that is decade 2, and again you would shuffle those, you would deal out 9, you'd put the wealth back on 5, that would flip back over, so the end of the decade card is always the same. So if you've got something in your progress track on line 1, it would automatically go in your kingdom, and then you'd start to you could potentially have some finishing off of some achievement sets to help you build these. I didn't have those because I sorted that out prior to doing that, but that's always the same. And again, that one changes, they are the same for decades 2 and 3. You gain gold equal to the amount shown left of the tokens on your kingdom tracker. So basically I would have got at the end of decade 2, if I didn't move up any more, I'd get 4, but hopefully you would move up more of these, and then you get these as additional income. And then Trade Masters and House Lorien again will gain some different benefits. But that's, as I say, that's how you play Antares Kingdoms. And so that's 1 decade done. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavour of how the game plays. And if you're, as I say, if you're interested in sort of backing this or looking at it a bit further, then the Kickstarter should be starting 1st of March and lasting to the end of March. That's the current sort of planned date. But keep an eye out on Kickstarter for that. They do have a Facebook page, and there is also a website. So if you check out antareskingdoms.com, you'll find them online. And as I say, they are on Kickstarter, but this has been a sort of first decade playthrough of Antares Kingdoms. So as I say, if you like it, check it out. Keep an eye on the Kickstarter. The components, I think, are excellent as they are, and if this is what comes with the Kickstarter, I would be absolutely fine with this. The cards are of very nice quality, excellent artwork, The components are nice. These all come on punch boards. You've got sort of tokens for if you start running low, because this is a 1 to 5 player game. On some of the single coins, these ones are worth 5. There are some cards in here that tell you to put plague markers on the next 2 years. So if it came out in turn 6, you'd put it on here, and that does certain things as well. And you can, throughout the game, you can build up your ranks. We didn't do that, so it was just sort of like a quick sort of decade playthrough of that. You've got your player sort of action sheet here that gives you one for each player, just telling you what actions you can take, both ones that cost you action points and ones that are free. You get free actions sometimes from your cards. The boards are nice quality. They could possibly do with being a bit thicker. These could probably deal with being card as well, but other than that, not much I would change, other than potentially on a stretch goal or something. If the backing went high enough, make these boards inset so that you could sort of put them in and they wouldn't move if you sort of knocked them. And then at the top here, we didn't use this because obviously it's just me playing against the AI, but you can use these to say I'm doing a build action and I'm doing a draw action, and that would just be you trying to keep a tally of your actions in the turn. But most times you probably don't need that, because as I say, all players are doing this at the same time. There are opportunity cards. We didn't get to see any of those really, but they again give you certain benefits throughout the game. This sort of quick run through of 1 decade was just to give you a feel of how the years work, how you build up your sets, how you get your income, and obviously how you play your cards into both your sort of readying area, and then those goes into your kingdom, and then they become harvestable, and then at the end they become your achievements. The opportunities again will give you things like free actions, extra stock, gain 2 supply, train masters gain 3 supply instead. So there's some other things, and you can also get Dominion cards. So basically, if you get Dominion cards, these sort of help you out sort of towards the sort of latter stages of the game. And I'd say for the AI, they just move them up the track. As I say, there'll be another 13 movements at least on these. So there's only 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 left. So they're going to move up at least 13 out of those sort of 18 to 24, because I think the one is to move here, so there's 24, and they would move up another 13 times in the next 2 decades. So they're going to be building up here. So you really need to move these as quickly as possible to keep pace with the AI, because you know that they're going to get 18 movements on this track out of the 36 that are potential. They're going to move 18 of these, so they could end up doing that, and they will get 9 points at the end of the game if all of the cards came out the same. They very rarely would, if at all, but obviously they're still going to get potential points for being second on these tracks, so they'd get 9 from there. And if they'd moved on any of these as well, or were on obviously any of these, so that would be 9, 15 as a minimum they would get if all 18 came and pulled them out here, or any combination of 3 of these. But again, they could potentially get up so far on these. If you haven't done so well on yours, they could get 3 points for each of those. So as I say, it's a bit of a balancing act. You need to sort of manage your kingdom for the end of each decade to move these up by 1 or more, because obviously if you've got 2 or 3 of these grainfield sets, you could move up 2, 3, 4 times. If that's what you're doing, you could prioritise certain things, keep a few sort of peasants and things in for defence, because there will be warfare out most decades, and at least once, if not more. So you've got to be a bit careful when they come out. But most of the time, you know, if you're playing against some human people as well, they're all fighting the same people that come out at the same time. So obviously they're all balancing as well. That's not just for you. Any of these cards that come out, whatever it does, that affects every player in the game. So as I say, Antares Kingdoms coming to Kickstarter hopefully on March the 1st, and until we're back with another one, bye for now.